Ghosts? More like goofs. Have you ever wondered about ghosts? Not the properly scary ones that go boo. No, I mean the really daft ones. The ones that trip over the cat, knock over a vase, and then get embarrassed. It turns out, ghosts haven't always been the terrifying terrors we see in films. Oh no! Throughout history, our ideas about ghosts have been just as bonkers, balmy, downright daft as people themselves. Ancient spirits who just wanted a snack, modern ghosts who apparently live inside our tellies. Let's be honest, the whole idea of a ghost is a bit odd, isn't it? You die, but you don't really go away. You just hang around, invisible, a bit chilly, with a sudden urge to rattle chains. Why chains? Why not a nice tambourine or a set of maracas? It's questions like these that show just how daft the whole business is. People in the past didn't have science to explain why the floorboards creaked or why there was a strange pong coming from the pantry. So what did they do? They blamed ghosts, of course. It was the perfect excuse for everything. Misplaced keys, a bad batch of turnip stew. It's much easier to say a phantom stole your socks than to admit you're just a bit forgetful. This journey through phantom history is going to be a scream of laughter, ready to meet the ghouls of the past. Let's start at the very beginning, a very daft place to start. In ancient times, ghosts were less terrifying spectres of doom and more annoying relatives who've overstayed their welcome. The ancient Romans, the ancient Greeks believed the dead could come back, but not always to scare. Mostly they just seemed a bit grumpy. Pliny the Younger told a famous story about a haunted house in Athens. A phantom with a long beard with rattling chains would wander about. Sounds scary, right? But it mostly just pointed at a spot on the ground until someone dug it up and gave its bones a proper burial. It was basically the ghost equivalent of nagging someone to take the bins out. These ancient ghosts were surprisingly simple creatures. They didn't want to drag you to the underworld, they just wanted basic things. A proper burial. They also got hungry. The Romans had a festival called Lemuria. The head of the household would walk around barefoot at midnight, spitting out black beans, yelling the chant, "I send these. With these beans, I redeem me and mine." They thought beans would feed the ghosts and make them go away. Imagine a terrifying spirit being defeated by a handful of legumes. It's not exactly the stuff of nightmares, is it? It's more like dealing with a fussy toddler who will only eat one type of snack. The best part is how practical these tales were. Lucian wrote about a ghost haunting a public bathhouse. People were terrified to go for a wash. Some brave lads went in, found the ghost, and basically told it to get lost. And it did. No fancy exorcisms, just a firm, "Oi you, hop it." Ancient ghosts often cleared off when asked. So the ghosts of the ancient world were a bit rubbish, weren't they? They were easily pleased, easily bribed with beans, easily told off. Fast forward a few hundred years to the Middle Ages and things got even dafter. After the Romans packed up and left, life in Europe got a bit mucky and miserable. People lived in dark, drafty huts, the food was foul, and you were lucky if you lived past 30. With so much to moan about, it's no surprise that they thought the world was chock full of ghosts. But these weren't just any old ghosts. Medieval ghosts were blamed for everything. Did your cow's milk turn sour? A ghost did it. Did you trip over a bucket in the dark? A ghost pushed you. Did you burn the porridge? Definitely a ghost's fault. They were the perfect scapegoats for a clumsy and chaotic world. These medieval phantoms were also terribly dramatic. They didn't just rattle chains. They returned from the grave to warn you about sinning or to complain about money they were owed. One popular story was about a ghost who came back to tell his friend to stop playing dice so much. Imagine that. A spirit travels all the way from the great beyond just to tell you off for your gambling habit. These ghosts were often seen wearing the armor they died in or showing off their gruesome wounds. They wanted you to know exactly how they'd popped their clogs, which is a bit rude if you're trying to eat your supper. The church had a big say in all this, of course. They told people that ghosts were souls stuck in purgatory, a sort of waiting room for heaven. These poor souls needed your prayers to help them move on. Some ghosts even helped out with chores as a way of saying thanks. A helpful ghost? Now that's an idea. But for every helpful ghost, there were a dozen who were just plain annoying. They would throw things, make terrible smells, and pinch people when they were asleep. Now let's leap forward to the Victorian era in the 19th century. Big moustaches, bigger dresses, even bigger ideas about ghosts. The Victorians were obsessed with science and progress. They were completely potty about the supernatural. They didn't just believe in ghosts, they wanted to study them. This led to the rise of the ghost hunter, the psychical researcher, usually a rich chap with too much time on his hands, often with a shed full of silly gadgets. They thought they could catch a ghost like a butterfly, with a net and patience. These Victorian ghost hunters were a hoot, marching into haunted houses, thermometers to detect cold spots, cameras with flash powder to snap a phantom, notebooks to jot down every creak and groan, the spiritoscope, a weather vane-like machine, supposed to spin when a ghost was near. Mostly it spun when someone opened a window, seances in dark rooms holding hands singing hymns, hoping a ghost would tap the table, or float a trumpet around the room, frightfully serious, frightfully silly. Ghosts got theatrical to keep up, not content with rattling chains. They loved to put on a show, floating glowing ectoplasm, muslin cloth and egg whites pushed from a medium's mouth, spooky messages on slates, whispers through spirit trumpets, like a magic show, everyone pretending it's real. Ghosts as performers, ghost hunters as their biggest fans, applauding floating handkerchiefs, reacting to disembodied voices. And that brings us to today. What happened to our ghostly pals in the modern world? Well, they got famous. Thanks to telly and films, ghosts are now proper celebrities. They star in their own reality TV shows where teams of ghost hunters armed with even more gadgets than the Victorians creep around dark buildings whispering, "Did you hear that?" They use EMF meters that beep whenever a mobile phone is nearby, and spirit boxes that sound like a broken radio. It's all very dramatic, very loud, and honestly very, very silly. Modern ghosts seem to have picked up some new tricks too. They don't just move objects, they mess with technology. Instead of rattling chains, they'll deliberately slow down your Wi-Fi signal. It's the ultimate modern haunting. The hilarious history of ghosts will continue for many years to come.